This year's theme was Labour Markets in Transition, Demographics, Productivity and Macroeconomic Policy. It brought together central bankers, economists and policymakers from around the world to address the structural shifts in reshaping employment, inflation and growth trajectories. Kganyago says, for Africa, it is a different story, as the continent doesn't have a problem of an aging population, but one of a demographic dividend.
If anything, Africa is faced with what is called a demographic dividend, which means that we have got a huge youth population. And the question that always comes in is, how do you take advantage of that? And the narrative that I always have a problem with is a narrative that says we have got this huge population of young people. They are not engaged in economic activity, therefore it is a threat. Once you see young people as a threat, you are starting on a wrong footing. But if as a country or as a continent, we say to ourselves, we have got a youthful population. These young people are a resource for a country, because what drives economic growth is physical stock of capital and the availability of labor. And the continent has got a youthful population, and the big issue for us is how do we leverage that advantage that we have? And that says to us we must put resources in the development of young people on the African continent, because it is that gives the continent an advantage over the rest of the world.
The governor says there was also a particular focus on the progress that central banks are making in pursuit of their mandate, which is price stability. While some banks have succeeded in bringing down inflation, Kganyago says what is clear across the globe is that the public are concerned about the high cost of living and the rate at which prices have been rising.
The big issue was, could that disinflationary gains be locked in, and whether there are still risks on the horizons. And amongst the risks on the horizons that were highlighted included what you had raised, which has to do with the posture that is actually taking place in the trade area, the tariffs that had been imposed, and whether we know enough about the impact of the tariffs. Whilst initially it looked like they were muted, the point that is coming across from a number of price setters is that a number of suppliers that actually front-loaded their orders, and those inventories are wearing down, and that we could start to see an effect on prices. How that effect comes on prices is a function of three possibilities. Whether the impact of tariffs is absorbed by the absorber, by the exporter, or whether they are absorbed by the importer, or whether the importer passes it to the consumer, or a combination of those three.
The governor emphasized the importance of independent central banks and their ability to carry out their mandate.
The thing about central banking is that conversations continue, and they continue all the time. And if you look at the statement of the ministers of finance and central bank governors that came out of Zimbabwe, you will find that there is a reference on at least two occasions about the importance of central bank independence. You still sort of like had the same thing coming through that says that it is thanks to this independent central banks that we were able to conquer the rise in inflation.
Kganyago stressed that a low-hanging fruit for South Africa is for the country to invest in the development of young people so that they can engage in meaningful activity for their own well-being. Lesetja, SABC News, Johannesburg.